So in terms of how I get started, when I think back, so I mean my venture into aesthetics started, I'm going to say probably properly 2011, 2012. What I did first of all was, so like most people, did the kind of beginner's course and perhaps did a few other courses to kind of get me going and get an understanding of what I was doing. And then to actually begin the process of injecting patients, I literally started with friends and family first of all, just to get something on the board in terms of actually treating patients. And then I approached some beauty salons locally in Belfast, where my thinking was these businesses basically have a cohort of patients or clients who were interested in their aesthetic already, and I thought that perhaps we could bolt on the things that I could provide, and actually that worked quite well because it did a couple of things. They essentially find the patients for me and manage the admin of the calling and the arranging the appointments and the back and forth and stuff like that, and that worked really well. And I kind of started with one and then moved to 4, 5 or 6 before kind of making the move into towards my own clinic from there. Okay, so things I wish I'd known then that I know now. I think that balance of having, like most people start with, you have an NHS job probably, where you're kind of juggling quite a lot. People have families and different things, and I know it's hard. So things at that early stage, I wish I'd known the things that will save time, basically. So there are some amazing pieces of software out there now which will kind of automate quite a lot, including appointments, managing notes, managing patient imagery. It saves a lot of time and saves a lot of heartache and hassle, which is really important when you're trying to get going and concentrate on trying to attract patients. Automation tools also exist for social media posting, which is a big part of a business in aesthetics. So I think that those tools, instigating those quickly is important. Then the other thing that I wish I'd known was the existence of call answering services. So there are sort of companies out there who specialize in the supply basically of remote receptionist services that are called call answering services, where someone will call the number to ring your business. You're obviously not going to be there because you're probably working. This outsourced receptionist will take the patient details, what they're interested in, and then they can be contacted back at a separate point. It's a kind of a bridging position between having a full-time, let's say, receptionist or admin person, without the expense that goes with that. So yeah, call answering service is useful as well. Okay, so how did I begin to attract patients? So yeah, so that transition for me from that kind of multi-beauty salon setup to actually developing my own clinic and space was probably among the trickiest sort of sections to navigate, I guess, where you're trying now off your own steam to try and attract patients to you. So obviously from the salons I did, we retained a number of patients who continued to come to me for treatment. I think that the building blocks of that are about building a brand, basically, where that kind of conveys trust, and that is something that takes time. It's something that takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. I think that there are elements to building a brand which people trust. I think that specifically for aesthetics, building a bank of quality works. I think particularly about before and after imagery, and specifically with regard to dermal filler treatments, that will convey quality, natural outcomes, and the kind of person basically that you want to attract to have treatment with you. So building trust, I think the quality work is number one. I think then within that, obviously being a healthcare professional, being adequately trained, that is assumed, that's got to be part of that. then other bits that are important, you know, whether we like it or not, online reviews are important. People look at them, and we know from kind of marketing analysis stuff that, you know, reviews are important. So thinking particularly about Google reviews and other social media based reviews, Facebook being one, which I think is probably less relevant nowadays, but definitely still important. So reviews are important. Okay, then I think that as, you know, the business began to grow, and you know, we got to a position where we could start to employ people to help us. Having a proper all-encompassing marketing strategy that's not just around you know, social media, but also thinking about online paid advertising, and the other bits that come into that, you know, not just social media based, those are important as well. And to get a plan together that you can iterate on and modify and monitor as you go based on how it's going, basically. So that's important in terms of attracting patients as well. Okay, so how did we go from that point to then growing the business? I think that from that point, once you've kind of got, you know, regular kind of patient base, you know, returning patients, you then, I think, to grow from there, yes, you've got to build what is existing, but you also need to think about, you know, other sources of revenue. So when you think about an aesthetics clinic, you know, think about skincare, treatments from capital equipment, other professionals providing other treatments. You know, don't be quite so monotone in terms of toxin and fillers. There are other things out there which work, which patients will be attracted to. So don't forget about those, and I think that's helped us over the years, thinking about alternative sources of revenue. And then I guess as things go, not just revenue driven from your clinic business, but also how can you use clinic revenue and I guess profits, and driving that profit towards you know, asset-based income from other sources outside of your business. So that's really a longer term thing, but I think, you know, should be part of your thinking. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, hit like, subscribe and share to see a bit more.